We be on news.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.
And that says we need God. Only God can bring us out of this mess.
I may not look like you and you me, but that's the way it's supposed to be. Dare to be you, dare to be me, and dare to be different and unique. I'm gonna be the best me I can be by letting His glory shine through. Dare to be you, dare to be me, and dare to be.
All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. First name's Donnie, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul. Baby, we're going to go straight to the jugular. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Man, it's over. First of all, it's over. Can you believe it's over?
Is it over? They're still counting the ballots, aren't they?
Well, I just mean the preliminary, election day and the voting.
Yeah.
The moving of the dates. They moved the dates a couple of times. Moved it all the way to July. I mean, who wants to vote in July?
Well, you didn't see long lines like you did 2 years ago during the city primary.
Touché.
Nowhere. So either they had a lower turnout, or people just said there's no need to do that. Let's just vote by mail. And I think a lot of people did that this year. But obviously today they're going to start counting the provisionals and all of the other ballots. So, but for the most part, I mean, it's over except for a few races, I think.
What is a provisional ballot for those who don't know?
If you go into a polling place and you can't, there's a question about whether you're in the right precinct or not, and there's some question about maybe your identity, then you would vote by a provisional ballot. And then at some point after the election, like today, this week, they would sit down and analyze whether this is a legitimate vote or not. Or let's say you requested an absentee ballot, a mail-in ballot, but you showed up at the poll and you said, well, I never got my ballot. So now they're going to be a little bit suspicious, but they can't turn you away. So then they'll have you vote by provisional ballot.
We've just been joined by Michael Haney. Michael Haney, you don't notice, but you have some direct sunlight behind you, which is disaffecting your lighting. You may want to close the shade.
Hey, Donnie. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Rydell. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing?
You hear me clearly?
Yeah, but
Good. So what I have to say today is more important than how you see me, but I'll get to and address that shortly. So no problem. I appreciate that.
all righty. So any thoughts, Mr. Haney? We were talking about the various ballots, the provisional ballots. There's also the mail-in, John.
Yeah.
And in particular, in this sheriff's race, I think the sheriff is counting on some mail-ins to help close that 200-point deficit that he currently has. John?
Oh, you're talking to me. Yeah, that's really the closest race that we have right now. And John Anderson has been the sheriff for how many years? I mean, I don't even remember
3 decades
sheriff before him. So he's been sheriff. So the what's his name? Mr.
Shelton Stewart. Shelton Stewart was one of those sheriffs.
Yes, many years ago. Sure. So that's a very close race, and obviously that's going to come down to the counting of the remainder of the provisionals and everything like that. State's attorney's race doesn't appear to be all that close. We were a little surprised about that and talking about that the other day, but I don't see Marilyn Mosby making up the difference in that amount of votes in this race.
I did notice that Fox has scaled back their daily assault of Marilyn Mosby, at least for now.
Well, she's not, even if she loses this race, obviously you're still facing, the federal indictment and going to trial. So that will play out. I mean, that's still news to anybody, but that's down the road at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mr. DeShiel, how will that play out?
Well, if Maryland loses, then there's no issue. If Maryland were to somehow win and then stand trial in September and be convicted, uh, I think the judges would appoint the state's attorney until perhaps a special election. I'm not really sure how it works, but she would no longer be a factor. And I think that's really, she had two things going against her. One, she had an extremely strong candidate in the person of Ivan Bates, and two, a lot of people were just thinking about what happens even if she wins and then is later convicted. So I don't think she was able to overcome either one of those things.
And that was particularly a factor in the Black community, given how many of us are familiar with the criminal justice process.
That is correct, and of course, uh, from a campaign point of view, or not from a campaign, but from a point of view of the performance, her announcement, weeks ago, whenever it was, that she was no longer going to pursue so-called low-level crimes, which are those that are prominent in the Black community. I don't think that really helped her, because I understand that she was trying to say that she was not going to pursue O'Malley's, for example, lock them all up strategy, but you have to offer an alternative. You have to offer an alternative that makes people feel safe. Okay, you're not going to lock people up, but I still want to be safe. What are you going to do about that? And she never really offered an option. At least if she did, I didn't hear it.
Mr. DeShields, speaking of the legal field, I heard Katie O'Malley say that she's still holding on for votes.
That's like holding on for dear life. I don't see. I see even less of a chance of her prevailing than I do for Marilyn Mosby.
And they did see Martin O'Malley was spotted. He was spotted on election day, I was told, driving a U-Haul truck. I swear to beans. I swear to beans.
What, taking down her signs or what? What was he doing?
Working.
Oh, okay.
Then
Well, no, I don't think Judge O'Malley has any chance of pulling this out whatsoever. I think that most commentators have already declared Anthony Brown the winner of the primary. Of course, he's going to face off against, I'm not sure who it is in November. But as far as the primary is concerned, most commentators have already declared Anthony Brown the winner.
Okay. Danny Blount, is it true that Jay Jalisi scared the crap out of the Unity team?
Say it again, Donnie. Say it again.
So we're gonna mute you guys' microphones if you're not speaking. But is it true that Jay Jalisi put the fear of God in Ben Brooks out there?
Something like that. Actually, the race is close. It is something that some folks didn't think was going to be that close, but it shows that Jay Jalisi does have a strong hold on voters out here in the 10th district. So yes, everybody is on pins and needles in that regards to the mail-in ballots. That's how close the race is. So Jay Jalisi is formidable at this point in time. So that's what's going on with that race. So we have to see what happens. We're all looking forward to seeing what happens after they count the mail-in ballots. You believe Donnie?
Mr. Haney, don't act like you shy now. Come on, Mr. Haney.
Donnie, I'm not shy. You asked me to come on, and first of all, good morning, world. Donnie, thanks a lot for having me on. And my time is limited this morning because we're still pursuing data relative to the elections. And the point to make is that BlackUSA.News, the network that Donnie Glover's thought of and conceived, and many of us work with him on, had an election night show on Tuesday night, in which we called a number of elections. And Attorney DeShields, really appreciate your insight. It was valuable. The feedback that we got regarding our election night coverage show on BlackUSA.News is that it was professional, it was on point, and the research we did in and able to call. We called 5 races that night. We called 5 races that night. And then subsequently, the Associated Press, the Baltimore Sun, the Washington Post called that race as well. So my message is to our community that where we get our information, why not blackusa.news, in terms of our ability to analyze and to think about these elections in a manner that gives us the credibility. Rydell, Blunt, DeShield, Glover, we have the same capacity as others. So if you give me a couple of minutes to tell you about the races we called election night, and then subsequently on blackusa.news, we called races yesterday on a breaking news scenario at 1 o'clock. And some of you are going to be surprised at the races we called. And when we delved into the statistics and the mathematics, we felt good reason to call these races, including that Senate race, that state Senate race out in Baltimore County, as well as the sheriff race in Baltimore City. Now, we could not be correct at the end of the day, but based on the data and the stats and the trends, we called these races. And so far, we're batting 5-0. So we called the state attorney general race, Anthony Brown, we declared the winner on election night. We called the controller race, and we said Brooke Learman was declared the winner on election night. We called the Republican gubernatorial race, primary race, 2 days before election day, and we declared Dan Cox the winner, and subsequently Dan Cox was the winner. And Dan Cox, let me remind you, was interviewed for 1 hour and 17 minutes on 60 Minutes in Black USA, and that is compelling. You all need to go back and look at that interview if you want to see what people were asking Tuesday night and yesterday morning. Who is Dan Cox? Well, we found out who he was well before anyone else. So this is a credible organization. You know, we also called on election night, we called that Jay Gillese was out. Based on the trends of early voting, based on the in-person polling on election day, and the number of mail-in ballots left to count in Baltimore County, we think the trend supports Ben Brooks winning that race. And so we called that race that Ben Brooks is the winner. We called Ben Brooks the winner. And to what someone's comment was earlier, it wasn't that to me, Jay Gillese has a following. It continues to be that our people are uninformed of what the platforms are, what the issues are from an integrity standpoint, and we have to continue to educate our voters. We also called a very close sheriff's race in Baltimore City, declaring Sam Cogan the winner, even though he was only up by, what was that, 300 votes on yesterday afternoon. We looked at the trends of how he was.
Votes.
We got 295.
I just got a call from the sheriff, and they said to look outside your front door.
Okay, well, if he comes down to my front door in Cuba, he can get me. But hey, I'm not afraid. That's part of the reason why people in Baltimore smartly are looking for change. Not that John Anderson didn't do a good job. People were looking for change, you know, and that's what change is about. And they were informed. They heard about the eviction. They heard about the eviction issues with John Anderson. They heard about the fact that his wife worked for or was on payroll for 2 months on leave and got paid, and it didn't set well with people. And the same thing with the Jay Gillese and Ben Brooks scenario. We have to be better informed of the issues and platform. That's the only reason that Jay Gillese is hanging in there, but he is going to lose. That's what our projection is. And then finally, so I can be quiet before Donnie cuts my mic,
because you know it's coming.
We also declared the winner of the Democratic gubernatorial race, and we have declared Wes Moore the winner, projecting Wes Moore to win. And when you look at the fact of what Wes was trending, even in Republican red east of the Bay Bridge and up in Western Maryland, having taken Dorchester, Howard, and Arundel. He slammed in Baltimore County, Baltimore City, Prince George's County, finishing second so far in Montgomery County, which is Francho and Perez's home territory, along with King. When you look at the data and the statistic, even if he went down to 30% from where he sat at 40%, it's hard to overcome him.
Good deal, Mr. Haney. We got to get to some other people. Danny Blunt, what they're saying out in Baltimore County?
Well, I am declaring Ben Brooks to be the winner too after it's all said and done. But it is a problem with people being informed and engaged and empowered out here. It's not like we don't have events. We have plenty of events out here all the time. Some of the organizations I'm involved in, we have political debates and things of that nature. People aren't coming out. We do know that it's 17% of the voters, 17% of folks voted in this gubernatorial. That's horrible, 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 horrible. But in Baltimore County, there's a lot of things that are going on out here. Ben Brooks, who I support and who I was on his ticket as well, is going to be the winner of the Senate. He's going to be our senator. But it is a lot going on. It's not like J.G. Lisi doesn't have a lot of supporters. They drank the Kool-Aid and they're still drinking the Kool-Aid. It's not like they don't know, because we have plenty of events to inform and engage and empower these folks. But for some reason, he has a stronghold on them. But that being said, a lot of things are going on out here. We had Scott Phillips, who at this point in time is winning his bid for candidacy for the delegate seat, as well as Jennifer White, who has done very well. Her numbers were very, very high at the primary elections. Also, of course, the Speaker of the House, Adrian Jones, got well over 7,000 votes as well. So that ticket, that unity ticket, is doing well out here in the Randallstown and the 10th district area. There are some other things going on for us with the school board. We have a school board member that for some reason was on that ticket. It's a Johnny O surrogate by the name of Samain Kendra. He's a nice young man. Actually, I'm on a Central Committee. For those who don't know me, my name is Danny Blount. I do know the attorney and Mr. Randall and Mr. Haney. I just wanted to introduce myself. I am a Central Committee member in Baltimore County. I serve as the chair of the bylaws committee in the parliamentarian forum. Also have a couple of nonprofit community organizations as well, and I'm a commissioner for the Baltimore County Human Relations Department. But anyway, with that being said, with this school board issue, it's become a big talk out here of why this Indian young man of 24 years old was on the ticket for the speaker, and also he's a friend of Johnny O. Johnny O has put plenty of mail-in ballots. Mr. Rydell knows all about this because he lives in my district, I believe.
Are you talking about Sammy? Are you talking about Sammy?
Pardon me?
Sammy?
Who is Sammy? I didn't hear you because your mic was off.
Yeah, who's the guy you're talking about? What's his name? The Indian?
Samain Kendra.
Yeah, Sammy. They call him Sammy because I think even Scott. Yeah, they call him Sammy. Even Scott Phillips has endorsed him. You know that.
Well, that's a problem. That's a problem. But they're going to have to deal with that. That's on them. I had these discussions with all of them, every one of them, because my name is on that ticket. And just because my name is on a ticket, I don't support them. I was giving out other literature. Trust me. That's what I do. Just because my name is on I don't recognize people who I don't recognize, who's not doing the work. So anyway, that's a big issue there, and people are starting to find it out. See, a lot of people aren't as engaged as others, but once they start finding out, then they have these questions that need to be answered. And that's a big question that needs to be answered. But Donnie, to say this, in the primary elections for the school board, there were 2 African-American women, highly qualified, one by the name of Treese Thornton, and the other one by the name of Brenda Savoy. And Brenda Savoy did outstanding. She got over 4,000 votes. And it's other guy on there, his name was Collins. It's a white gentleman by the name of Collins. We interviewed all of them. And I want you guys to take note of this. We, along with the Northwest Voice paper, were holding an interview debate process for not only the delegates, not only the senator, but for the school board. At the 23rd hour, it was canceled for the delegate and senate race. So the only one that we could do was the school board. With that being said,
hold up. Who canceled it?
Well, it was canceled by the speaker.
Why?
Who knows? Who knows? Well, the theory is, from what I'm looking at, for whatever reason, they may have thought the angle of not having those debates was going to benefit those candidates by not having other folks up there. But I think that was not the right thing to do, because the community was looking forward to this. We planned this 2 months ahead of time. 2 months.
Okay, let's shift over to Mr. DeShield. You've got some experience out there in Baltimore County, Attorney DeShield. What do you make of this chicanery?
I don't know what chicanery. I don't know whether it's chicanery, but I was thinking about the school board race because in the mid '90s I was a member of the Baltimore County Board of Education, and the 20-some years that had passed, not a single member, not a single black candidate or a single member of the school board has even approached me about what the job entails. I was the one actually who orchestrated the first, and I believe the only black president that's ever been in the school board. It was Dunbar Brooks. I don't think there's been a black school board member since Dunbar. I mean, president since Dunbar. But even when Cheryl Pasteur was still on the board before she dropped off, I was just curious that we don't look for continuity within our community. We think everybody wants to be their own engine.
She didn't drop off, did she?
I don't know the outcome of her race. Yeah, she dropped. She resigned from the school board to run for the House of Delegates.
Danny, give me some insight on that.
What they did was give you guys some history. We all know that District 11 didn't have it. It wasn't diverse politically. There were no folks other than the ones that have been there, the Bobby Zirkins, the Cardins, the Dana Stein, and now Shelley Hellerman has taken over that reign. Shelley Hellerman, of course, is the Senate there, along with Stein and Cardin. But now there's another person there. All these folks, Lisa Bacastro, who is running for the delegate seat, she's not doing well at all. Actually, she's in third place. Cardin and Stein, as we all know, are name recognitions. So they have, at this point, have won their seats for re-election. So with that being said, when the redistricting happened, Linda Dorsey Walker, for those of you who don't know Linda Dorsey Walker, she's from
the short version, babe.
The short version is this. The short version is that Cheryl Pasteur is the delegate in District 11 now. There's an 11A and 11B, something like that. But what happened after the redistricting, they saw that the minority numbers had changed and shifted, and they were able to make that happen. So Cheryl Pasteur is our first minority representative in District 11. And
okay, John, I wanted to ask you, John. I'm sorry, Danny.
I'm sorry, I'm just say the school board. Of course, she was running for the school board, and they went and got her. The speaker went and got her, saying, "This is what's going to happen. We want you to run for this seat." So that's why Cheryl stepped down from running for the school board, and now she's a delegate.
Thank you for that clarity, John. Any thoughts on the power of a ticket out there in the 10th district? While Jalisi had them, crapping bricks, it's also showed the power of running together.
Well, if you're an incumbent, you just have a tremendous advantage because you can mail out things. If you're a registered Democrat, you're going to get something from Jay Jalisi on a regular basis. And sadly, the average voter, unless you're a political junkie, they just look at name recognition, and they're busy with their own life. They're just trying to make a living. They're trying to afford the gas and everything like that. So when you go to the polls, you look at, it's like, okay, Ben Brooks, familiar name, Jay Jalisi. Do you really know these people? A lot of people don't. And so that's why, I guess it's not surprising that race for state Senate is that close because they were both incumbent delegates. You had Dolores Kelly that decided to retire. And so now it appears that's a very close race, obviously, but it looks like Delegate Brooks is probably going to win. So, that's the reality of it, in my opinion, that people sometimes don't look at, okay, well, who is this Jay Jalisi? Do we know what his record was? Do we know that he was reprimanded? Do we know that, this, you mentioned case search several days ago. People don't know what case search, the average person doesn't know. They look at name recognition. But the people that are informed, that do their homework, say, okay, if I have a choice between two delegates, I'm going to pick this guy because I think he would do a better job as a state senator. So maybe that's why we have Ben Brooks in the lead right now. That's my opinion.
Mr. Haney, I know your time is limited. Any thing you wanted to share?
The only thing I want to share, Donnie, to the viewers is blackusa.news. Blackusa.news, where you can get information such as this. You don't have to wait for the usual conventional mediums in our communities to get credible information, hear credible information and debate. We have to figure out a way to ensure that our people understand that there are multiple avenues to get credible information, and we need to look at it. It's not business as usual anymore.
Mr. Haney, I wanted to tell you that I did go down to Harlem Park. That is my voting poll. And I want to commend you and Marsha Juice for breaking the story about the Sandtown poll at Lillian Jones being closed without the community being informed about it. And those voters who used to go to Lillian Jones had to go down to Harlem Park. And I sadly report that while at Harlem Park, I watched a woman step into a sort of sinkhole in the sidewalk and fell. Now go inside and tell the operations manager. And I said, man, somebody just fell in the hole, and he knew about the hole. He knew about the hole on the sidewalk. It was not covered up. And old people are coming there. God forbid old people who had walked already 6-7 blocks. But I watched this lady. She couldn't have been no more than 50. And she fell in the hole, didn't want to sue, scraped the leg. And I'm just saying, yesterday, John, I interviewed Tank Davis's coach, Coach Calvin at Upton Boxing. They're doing an event there on August 20th. And he took me on a tour of the building. This is a city-owned facility. And really, nobody's cut the grass. And so, John, as we, wind down with the primary and go into the general, are people already thinking about the mayor's race in Baltimore?
I doubt it. I mean, hopefully not, because that's 2 years away. I did want to bring up something when you mentioned Anthony Brown winning the primary, and that was not even close. What was it, 60% to 40%? I mean, that is not even close. A lot of people thought it was a lot closer. Now, there is a Republican that won the primary, Michael Peruka. Again, yet the average person, we don't know who this guy is. This is an unknown, but this is for the state attorney general. So real quick, I looked him up. Michael Peruka, a former member of the League of the South, a white supremacist and white nationalist organization designated by the Southern Poverty Law Center as a hate group. Michael Peruka is known for his pro-secessionist views and said that he is still angry that Maryland did not join the Confederacy in the Civil War.
How you gonna get mad about something when you weren't even alive? I
mean, this is 2022 that we're talking about, that he's the Republican nominee for the Maryland Attorney General. It's not 1863 or, that's very troubling to me.
Peruka, I mean, where's his family from?
I don't know his background. He was accused of something. I was in district court in Annapolis several years ago, and I unfortunately I can't remember exactly what it was. It wasn't a felony. It was something, a misdemeanor or something like that. But I mean, Anthony Brown is certainly going to win that race, which is historic. But it's troubling that among the Republicans running for Attorney General, this is the nominee. And then, you mentioned Dan Cox, Dan Cox got over 106,000 votes from Maryland voters. They're obviously registered Republicans, and his, claim to fame was going to, the Trump rally on January the 6th. He was not inside the U.S. Capitol, but he tweeted out Pence is a traitor on January 6th on that afternoon. So you had.
And he also went to a QAnon meeting up in Pennsylvania. However, I encourage people to hear for themselves Dan's platform. We interviewed him on blackusa.news. We interviewed him. Hear his platform and see his strategy. Governor Hogan came out yesterday and said he's not supporting and not voting for him. Well, we know Governor Hogan doesn't have as much juice as he thought he has when you look at Trump and Trump's influence here in Maryland. He trounces Hogan. So that's why Kelly Schultz lost. Although Kelly Schultz visited Sandtown, Kelly Schultz never had a chance because the closet Trumpeteers in a state like Maryland, they're not going to come out.
Visited Walbrook Junction.
They're just going to vote. And the same thing in November when Democrats can vote for Republicans, you're going to get your closet Democratic Trump supporters that may lend him some votes, although we don't think that he stands a chance, which is why the Democratic Gubernatorial Association supported him and poured money into his campaign so that whoever's the Democratic nominee has a easier path to victory against Dan Cox. But go up and look at his interview on blackusa.news. Compelling and an interesting guy, and not a bad guy. Not necessarily someone I personally would support, but what he said made a lot of sense to a lot of Black people.
Interesting. But you had, if you're a registered Republican, your goal would be to see a Republican elected governor. Same with a Democrat would want to see the next governor be a Democrat. So you have all of these 107,000 Republicans that voted for Dan Cox in a state where Democrats outnumber Republicans 3-1. So you almost
2-1.
2-1. Okay. At least 2-1. So, his path to victory in November is virtually nil. I mean, is it indirectly kind of like a protest vote? Like we still support Trump?
No, John. What I think it says is that the Republicans in Maryland, because that's significant, the numbers, that their true stripes are showing and that they're in the majority. So you have two factions of the Republican Party. You have the Hogan moderates or very conservative Democrats. That's what I call Hogan, a very, very conservative Democrat or very liberal Republican. And then you have the staunch Republicans that supported Cox, and that's really the way. What Cox got, what we see is what we get. And he got more votes than any other Republican. So that's the Republican sentiment. Why can't we believe when people show you who they are, we have to believe them. And that's the sentiment of Republicans. And we'll see some Democrats who are going to support him in November.
And those been the
perilous time in this country. I just hope that you guys cover the county council race in Baltimore, the Baltimore County Council race, where this brother named Hinton, I think.
His name is Hinton. Yep.
So he'll be the second. So Baltimore County only has one Black council person that determines a lot of economic stuff out there. And we're talking about the Board of Education, which is important. But the county council makeup in Baltimore County is absolutely disgraceful.
But this is the key, Michael. We have this petition going on called 4 More. Are you familiar with 4 More?
No, I've not heard of that.
Well, 4 More is a petition for 4 more districts in Baltimore County. We all know the charter was written in 1955 when there was only 350,000 people. Which you divide that up by 7 councils, you have only, at that time, responsibility for 30 something thousand people, whatever it is. But now it's almost 900,000 people. So we need more districts in Baltimore County. One council person is responsible for 128,000 constituents. That's insane.
So my point, Danny, is that in a county that we think is blue, that's really probably purple or red, that the atrocities against people of color who make up at least 35, 36% of that county, right?
And women, 50% of women.
Okay, is that
Mm-hmm.
it's atrocious the way that we strategically, because we have to be responsible for our own direction sometimes. You know, we can't always wait for gerrymandered redistricting, et cetera, but one council person of color representing out there is absolutely a travesty of justice. And Hinton has a chance because he was endorsed by Bevins
and Johnny O
to be the second one. Well, I've got some issues with Johnny O, so we'll talk
so do
about
I.
that.
Doesn't mean he still endorsed them.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
but that's a whole nother
deep
topic
out
there.
it's deep out there in Baltimore County. And Baltimore County usually carries the statewide races significantly, as they carried Hogan, and I think they're going to carry Westmore. But Baltimore County is a bastion of some racist policies that we just don't understand as a significant Black people out there.
Oh, I'm sure we understand. We certainly understand, and we know what's going on out here. But we need more people to step up and get engaged. That's the key. Do this 4 more. Look what's going on when you talk about 4 more to all these folks in Baltimore County government.
Mr. DeSheriff, your thoughts?
Well, I was just thinking about Tony Fugate running into second, and I don't think I never thought he really had a chance against Izzy. But the fact that he had the courage even to step up and run, it was encouraging. I like Tony, but let me. I'm going to make a declaration that some will find problematic, but the Civil War is not over. Okay, the Civil War is not over, folks.
Absolutely.
And so what you see in Michael Peruka is the same thing you see in Donald Trump and most of the people who are with Trump. Everybody talks about what Trump's base is, but nobody talks about what the commonality is within the base. That's the reality of the thing. The Civil War is not over, and if you don't, the thing that's common when you take away all the fluff and peel the onion all the way down to its core, the thing that's most common that you will find among those people is that whether you call them conservative or ultra-conservative, they're against all things Black. Period. They're against all things Black.
Danny, you raise a good point about the councilmanic districts. There are only 7 districts in Baltimore County. What's the population? It's over 900,000?
Almost 900,000.
Sure, okay. Well, look at Baltimore City. Of course, years ago, they reconfigured. They used to have the 3 person districts. Now you've got 14 separate districts, 14 council people, and the council president. So technically 15. In a city where the population continues to shrink. It's over, 600,000. So Baltimore County is a much larger jurisdiction than Baltimore City, and then yet they just have the 7 county council members, and that's how it's been forever, as far as I know. So, do you need to amend the county charter, or how would you go about achieving it?
As I said earlier, the county council members can do it themselves, but they're not. So what happened is that the people have to do it. Linda Dorsey Walker, who I spoke of earlier, she's actually the chair of the 4 More petition. And I'm telling you, you talking about all these different barriers that we have to go through. The state board of election will not let us use electronic signings of petitions. They're making us do this, they're making us do that, jump on all of these different hoops because they're connected through all of these political folks. And so we're still doing it. We're still going to make it happen, and we're still talking about it. We're getting a lot of people who are starting to open up their eyes and say, well, look, I want better accountability. I want better service. I want to be able to talk to my council person. I want to be able to have my views, this and the other. And it's not getting done now. And the only way that's going to get done if you have more folks on the council. You have to have. It's a no-brainer, but it's not something that they want to do. Everybody knows you got more police officers, you got more hospitals, you have more this, that, and the other.
But you know, Mr. Hinton, you alluded to it earlier when you talked about that unity ticket, and you talked about the power of that unity ticket. And Adrian Jones is one of the more powerful people in the state. Johnny O, we say, or you all say, is a great guy. We've got Jones, who is the chair of the county council. When are we going to leverage our power and force change? Because we know the fact that they only have 9 districts now is intentional to control power. When are we going to take an Adrian Jones and say, hey, can you hold up some money like Baltimore City Council did against the sheriff, you know, to get people's attention and force them to make some changes? When are we going to use our power as a strategy at all levels to rectify some of this civil rights and some of this Civil War stuff that's happening and racism that's happening in their own Democratic community? Democratic communities can be the most racist because we don't pay attention to what's really happening and who's really behind the money, and we get hoodwinked.
All you gotta do is follow the money. The money, I mean, think about it. Think about it in my district. I live in the 10th district, 4th councilmatic district. That's a highly voted. If you want to become a governor, you want to become a county executive, you come through the 10th. You get your votes and you leave. That's what they do. They come in, they seek, and they destroy, and they leave. But the folks that are here, think about it. We had Senator Kelly forever. We've had Emmett Burns, Shirley Nathan Pulliam, all these different people who represented us who were supposed to have safeguard us, and they didn't. And now it's still going on. Another chapter has risen. You still have the speaker, the third most powerful person in the state.
Well, why didn't they safeguard us?
Well, I mean, because this is the deal.
They don't have no power. They don't have real power.
Well, see, well, you know what? The thing about it is that they have power, but they don't use it. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Adrian Jones.
They don't have any power.
Okay, here we go.
Power. If they had power, the speaker wouldn't have been hiding behind Brooke Learman in a commercial where she gathered all the black people. Brooke Learman gathered all the black people, including the speaker.
They don't use it. She doesn't use her power. Think about this. When Adrian Jones, of course I do. She's in my district.
McIntosh stepped out the way because they made that shot call.
That Maggie McIntosh, no, let me tell you who did it. Derek Davis did it. He had all the votes in his back pocket for the Republicans. He had a whole slate. Derek Davis. Derek Davis had all the votes.
Because he was about to sell out to the Republicans.
No. See, let me tell you something. Once you get power, you're supposed to use it. I'll tell you check this out. If it was opposite, you think Maggie McIntosh wouldn't took those votes?
If I was Derek Davis, I'd have took those votes.
That's right. That's how you do it. Once you got the power, you got the power.
I agree with you. So make sure you watch Dan Cox and keep an eye on him.
Why we gotta watch him? I don't want to watch Trump.
That's right. That's a Trump saga. But the thing about it, and it shows the racism in the state of Maryland. That's all it's showing. Something we've already known. So
and deep blue Maryland.
That's a cover up. It's not the real deal. Come on, now this is Macy-Dixie line. Don't forget that. This is the Macy-Dixie line.
I like this young brother. He's learned real quick.
Do you know that last name I got right there?
Do I know? I know Clarence Baum.
Well, there you go. That's who I am. So my point. There you go. Well, how about that? You see that sign back there? Say "Time for Change" behind me. I went in there and I went against Senator Kelly and all of them that were all on the Central Committee, elected official holding dual seats. Went in there, changed the bylaws, became the bylaws chair, and you cannot hold but one seat in Baltimore County now.
And Baltimore City's doing the same thing. You got Yitzi Shaifer.
No. But Baltimore City has been doing it for 40 years. That's where Senator Kelly learned that stuff from. Senator Kelly brought it from Baltimore City to Baltimore County, and she became oh my goodness, she was a gangster.
Now, let me just say, don't hate the players. Hate
That's
the game.
true.
Don't hate. Come on, we can't go hating.
Ain't anybody hating.
The first object of power is to maintain power. I'm glad you changed the rule, but had you not, That's the game, and you have to adapt. So if
unless you go in and change it,
hold up, Danny.
unless you change it.
Danny, I want to make a point. Dolores Kelly was the boss out there after Ella White Campbell went on to glory. And what I told Kenny, and I'll tell you, if y'all didn't like Dolores Kelly, you should have found somebody who could beat her, but you couldn't.
It is what it is, my brother. And it's a new day now. We have Ben Brooks coming on as our Senate, and we'll see how things work. But change is hard, man. Beating incumbents are hard. We all know that. And we all know through the Central Committee, 30% of the folks that are in the General Assembly came from the Central Committee.
Okay.
And in Baltimore City, look what's going on in Baltimore City.
Time out. All the dope dealers live out there in Baltimore County. I'm tired of y'all pointing fingers. Don't make me call you out. John Rydell, come on, help me out. Bring me some perspective.
Thanks a lot, Donnie. Gotta go. Good seeing all you guys, man.
You too, man.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was interesting dialogue. You talk about Johnny O. Remember, Johnny O endorsed Tom Perez, and not just endorsed him at a news conference. He went around to different campaign stops. He actively campaigned for Tom Perez, and as everybody has said, as Baltimore County goes the state.
There you go.
900,000 residents. I don't know how many registered voters or registered Democrats they were. Wes Moore won Baltimore County very easily.
That's right. He had the support of all of us, but John.
Yes.
John, what does it say about unions? Because up until that election, I have my thoughts about unions. I think unions, including SEIU, has given us some rotten candidates, let alone one elected official I remember here in Baltimore City, the worst ever. Tell me about the impact and the strength of unions.
I don't think they have the strength that they had decades ago. And for a union to endorse somebody, I mean, the average person, if you're not a part of that union, it doesn't make all that much difference. I don't think newspaper endorsements have the clout that they did decades ago. Tom Perez was endorsed by the Washington Post and Baltimore Sun.
Did Tom Perez pay attention to Baltimore City?
No, I don't think so.
No, he did not. No, he did not. No,
he showed up one day before at Zeke's Coffee somewhere, and I don't know, Southeast Baltimore somewhere.
City, a lot of people discount Baltimore City in terms of statewide elections. I think they forget a most important fact. No, we do not have the numbers, but by golly, we have the media. You are media. Baltimore sets the tone, and you cannot ignore Baltimore, John.
Well, Wes Moore had the closest ties to Baltimore. There was that debate over, where he
was from.
He never said he was born in Baltimore. And there was a certain TV station that kind of jumped on the bandwagon because they got intel, which some people believe came from the campaign to Peter Franchot, that Wes Moore misrepresented himself. When you look at the details, maybe he should have been more forthright about that. But I think does somebody have understanding of the problems of Baltimore? Catherine Pugh didn't grow up in Baltimore. She's not from Baltimore. So do you understand the real needs of Baltimore, and do you have a connection? Do you know neighborhoods, that kind of thing? Tom Perez
she knew people in Baltimore.
Yes.
But living here in Sandtown, I'm going to say this to you, John Rydell. I saw you in Sandtown more than I saw Catherine Pugh in Sandtown.
Tom Perez has roots in the D.C. area, Montgomery County, and I think that his folks focused on that, and they said, "Hey, you're our D.C. guy, and we're going to capitalize on that." Peter Franchot viewed himself, even though he's from Tacoma Park, he viewed himself maybe as more of a statewide candidate, and that's why he had the early lead in these polls, because people, he's the state controller for years and years. So, he replaced William Donald Schaefer. So the average person being polled, that was the only name that they recognized. But his numbers never went up as the campaign progressed, whereas Wes Moore's numbers continued to rise and Tom Perez. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, you know, you
Hold tight, Danny. You got to share the ball. You a ball hog. Come on, see, Danny, you bad, but I'm a little more intimidated by Mr. Shield. He got that law degree.
Well, a couple of things. You know, Schaefer didn't carry Baltimore County when he first ran for governor, and then he punished Baltimore County by putting me on the school board. and then I had the audacity to think in 1998 that I could run against Dolores Kelly and win. I actually outraised her. I had more money than she did, but I didn't have the people. I didn't have the people. She had the people. Yep. And then, of course, the upshot of that was with her and Kevin cabinets when they were redistricting. I used to be part of the 4th district. In fact, I was sitting in Ella White Campbell's basement talking with strategists people about running for that seat when Ken Oliver won, and somebody said, "Oh," put their hand up and said, "Wait a minute, Bob." I said, "What's the matter?" So you're not in that district anymore. You're still in the 2nd district because they drew it around my house.
Kevin took you with him.
So you know, and the answer to the question about what is the real problem? Why black folk don't act more in unity? And again, I'm going to make some people mad. You do not have to be white to be a white supremacist. All being a white supremacist means is that you believe that there's a group of people based upon their race or inherently superior to another group of people. That's all it is. And I will tell you a not so godly secret. Most black people believe that. Most black people believe that white folk are inherently superior. In fact, that was we applaud the case law that is established. Brown v. Board of Education established that as a matter of law. It established as a matter of law that any institution, educational or otherwise, that is predominantly black is necessarily inferior. You see, because if we had books that were too old or didn't have enough chalk or didn't have enough classrooms, give me some chalk, give me some school, give me some, get rid of the classroom. You have to close my school and put me on the bus and send me someplace else. What does that say? And we supported buses. Kamala Harris said she was the little girl who stood on the corner to catch the bus. I don't believe it. But look at the principle that she espouses. Look at we've got to stop and think about what we really are here. I'm done.
Come on, Danny.
You know, the thing about it, and you said it very well, Mr. Shields, that, you know, you look at the representation for Baltimore City, look at we talk about after Schaefer, and you look at the representation of the leadership out in the 10th district. It's been African Americans that have been in these leadership roles. I've been out here for 24 years. I remember when Ken Oliver became the councilman. Ken Oliver had the golden goose. He had everything going for him. He had high vote area. He had high medium income. He had educated folks out here. He had it all. So when he met with Jim Smith in his office, instead of him going in that office and telling him what he wanted, he asked what could he get.
How do you know that?
Once they knew that, well, I know it because things are the way they are right now.
I'm out. You just made a statement. Were you in the room?
No, I don't have to be in the room to see the results.
Because hold up. Time out, Brooklyn. Ken Oliver brought you more development out there than anybody.
He did. Do you know we had a do you know we had a UDAC?
I was a part of urban design.
That's right. Funding all these wonderful architects. I still have the orange books downstairs.
No one came to your district before Ken Oliver made noise.
Well, I mean, that's exactly why we put him in there. Matter of fact, it was a lawsuit. We had to file a lawsuit to get that representation in our district. So
is that progress though, Danny?
Well, it's progress, but progress stopped. It stopped. After UDAC, okay, let me tell you, we got the Home Depot, we got the Ruby Tuesdays, and we got a Walmart, and we got a Sonic. Okay, now I'm not blaming all of that because you have to have land to be able to develop.
Is that
and
bad?
on Lady Road is tough.
Is that bad having those 5 super boxes?
I didn't say it was bad, but what I'm saying to you is that when you drive up and down Liberty Road should look like Towson. Liberty Road should look like Pikesville, in my estimation. It should look like to me. They pay all these taxes we pay.
I get that part, but before Ken Oliver, you had nothing.
Before Ken Oliver, that's exactly right. So I'm not saying that Ken didn't do some things.
I don't hear that.
Say that. I didn't say that. What I'm telling you is that there's a lot of things that go on unless you live out here, Donnie. You wouldn't know all these things.
How you think I don't live out there? I got family out there all the time.
Okay.
My family.
Could you run for office? Could you run for office?
My family out there calls me Finsight because apparently you guys in Baltimore County aren't doing a good enough job educating your constituents. You have no media out there besides the Northwest Voice. COVID put a damper on that. So I have a vested interest in the 4th Councilmanic, the 10th Legislative, the 11th Legislative. I used to be the editor of your Northwest Voice newspaper, buddy, at the beginning.
Okay.
I got roots out there. Did you know there's a Baltimore County Day in honor of Donnie Glover? You better check my record, brother. Okay, we got to get up out of here. Mr. Shields, elders, John Rydell, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I got a real quick personal story about Ken Oliver. Didn't earlier in his career, he worked at a bank, I believe.
Harbor Bank.
Okay. So
also
my late
Development Credit Fund.
Okay. My late wife was a big fan of Ken Oliver because she went to that bank to apply for a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
When you were younger, you could be working for 5 years and it was still difficult to get a credit card. Today, anybody in the world can get it. So he, I guess, looked at her record or something like that and approved her getting her first credit card. So she was always indebted to Ken Oliver. She just thought the world of him because just little things like that you remember like years and years ago that kind of help you develop your credit. Isn't that
I got to defend him, Danny. I don't know if you checked on Ken, but he's sick.
I have, of course. Yes, we have.
He lost his wife, and there's no
he did. Yeah, it's really don't get me wrong. Ken Oliver and I, we're friends, and we've always been friends. But there were certain
friends
things.
Don't talk about me like that. Let me just say, Ken Oliver is my friend. We disagreed offline, but it was always about making each other better. And after his time in office, we remained friends. And I know Kenny checks on him a lot. Since you live out there, I imagine you've gone by his house.
Absolutely. Ken Oliver is, he's rather kind of sickly now, but Ken Oliver, we have a great respect for one another.
Me and him used to fight. Yeah. I mean, we used to go at it, but offline because.
Absolutely. But that's if you are a community activist and you have a elected official who can't get some of the things done that you want. I mean, you're gonna go back and forth, but it's not like you don't have respect for him.
And Dolores and them didn't help him.
And let me tell you something. Well, in the background, Dolores actually kind of micromanaged Ken's seat.
She
did a lot of stuff in the background. Well, she did. He allowed her to do certain things. Not only her, but even Adrian. Because Ken wasn't a great orator, and so a lot of times they spoke on his behalf. A lot of times they did, and a lot of things. I mean, it's a lot of things that went on with Ken, but Ken's a good guy. He's a good guy.
So damn, if that's what being a good guy, don't speak in my funeral. Okay, come on, Bob the Shield.
Oh my goodness, being all sensitive.
As far as I know, neither Ken Oliver nor any other elected official has created or sponsored. None of those developments are owned by black folk. The Ruby Tuesdays. Listen, there's only one real asset in the world, and that's land. All the other stuff is Bitcoin. If you don't own the bricks, you own nothing. And there's not a single development in Baltimore County that's owned by black folk that I'm aware of.
David Brown's not black. I thought I knew. Gentlemen, I want to just say thank you for helping us to bring forth different perspectives that we don't get to see on some of the other news channels. Mr. Rydell, I thank you for your character and your integrity. Thank you for being my friend. Mr. Shield, thank you for being my friend and my lawyer. And also Danny Blount. We love Brooklyn. And we love Baltimore County.
Yeah, indeed we do. And we love you, Donnie.
Good stuff.
Indeed.
Till next
All right.
time. Have a
Goodbye.
good day.
Don't forget the radio show. I got a radio show today, Donnie. Don't forget to get that plug in there. WFBR 1590 AM from 12 to 1. Bishop Barry Chapman and I are co-hosting. We're going to have a great show today, Donnie. Tune in.
Okay.
God bless you. All right.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you.